Just landed in China, thanks for the invitation. But could you please stop rubbing my hand? It's quite unsettling. I was on the verge of tears, frozen in place. After so many years, the little tail that used to follow me around seems to have grown more twisted. Noticing that I was awake, Emma didn't restrain her gaze. Instead, she became bolder. Her cold eyes, now tinged with fervor, scanned me up and down as if she wanted to devour me.
Brother, answer me. Why did you leave me?
Although I loved teasing Emma, I was indeed a coward. Facing her obsessive gaze, I wished I could merge into the headboard. Seeing her brows start to furrow, I immediately put on a smile.
Didn't I come back? I only left you temporarily back then.
Her expression didn't relax, her small face remained tense.
Really? Did you return to the country to come back to me?
That slightly hurt voice was truly pitiful, but I just rolled my eyes, racking my brain for the right words. After a moment of thought, I decided to take a gentle approach. I took her hand, my expression unusually sincere.
Of course, why would I lie to you?
I thought she would ease up and revert to the obedient girl I remembered. Unexpectedly, her face turned cold, and she gripped my hand even tighter.
Liar! You promised to come back and see me every year. I won't believe your nonsense.
I did seem to have promised her that, but after going abroad, I was so caught up in my new life that I forgot. Knowing she was easy to appease, I immediately put on a pitiful look. Seeing my pained expression, she quickly let go of my hand, her face showing concern.
I'm sorry, brother, but can you promise not to deceive me again?
I nodded repeatedly, sensing that she had changed a lot. She used to act like a gentle rabbit in front of me, but now her possessiveness was unmistakable. She stood up, looking down at me, and after a moment, a slight smile appeared on her lips.
Will you stay with me forever, brother?
I was startled, my whole body tensing up. Just as I was about to jump up and refuse her proposal, my sudden movement caused a clinking sound at my feet. Lifting the blanket, I was shocked to find my ankle chained to the foot of the bed. I stared at her in disbelief, but she just kept smiling. What kind of captivity play is this? No, if she were to go crazy, she should be imprisoning the male lead, not me, the villain. Thinking of the things I had done to her in the past, I felt a chill run down my spine. Was she planning to keep me locked up and torment me slowly? I had to find a way to escape. But first, I needed to figure out where I was or get hold of my phone. I decided to show weakness to Emma, to make her believe I wouldn't leave. When Emma brought dinner into the room, I obediently let her feed me. Even though goosebumps rose all over my body, I forced a smile and praised her. Emma brought dinner into the room, and I obediently let her feed me. Even though goosebumps rose all over my body, I forced a smile and praised her.
Emma, you still remember what I like to eat? So thoughtful.
Even though I was the one eating, she looked satisfied, as if she had tasted some rare delicacy herself.
Of course, I remember what you like, brother. I made this for you myself, see?
She waved her pampered hand in front of me, her fingers covered in cuts. Those were hands that played the piano. I felt a pang of sympathy and grabbed her hand to blow on it. It wasn't that I particularly cared for this little lunatic, but it was such a shame to see hands as delicate as artwork damaged like this.
Go get the first aid kit, I'll bandage you up.
She smiled again, but this time it was a strange smile that made my scalp tingle. After pretending to go along with her for a few days, I realized she didn't seem to have any intention of tormenting me. She even unchained my ankle when I subtly mentioned it was uncomfortable, allowing me to move freely within the villa. But this villa was clearly prepared by her. The windows and doors required fingerprints to open, and I couldn't find a way to escape despite trying several times at night. The longer I was held captive, the better Emma's mood seemed to get, while my anxiety grew. I hadn't returned to the country just for a casual visit. My family had said there was an urgent matter that required my presence, which was why I had rushed back. Looking at the desolate scenery outside the window, I couldn't help but sigh.
What's wrong, brother? Want to go out?
Emma appeared out of nowhere, startling me. I watched her face warily, but seeing her calm expression, I concluded she was trying to trick me.
No, I'm just a bit bored, admiring the view outside.
She stood next to me, joining me in looking at this god-forsaken place. Seeing that she wasn't suspicious, I breathed a sigh of relief, but the next second, she said,
In that case, I'll go out by myself.
I was dumbfounded, not expecting this outcome. She chuckled softly, her gaze falling on me.
If you're bored, brother, I'll give you your phone to play with.
Yes, please!
Although I agreed quickly, I still had some reservations. After all, Emma wasn't a fool. But to my surprise, she actually handed me my phone before she left. And it was fully charged. Seeing the full signal bars, my eyes lit up, completely ignoring the fleeting displeasure in Emma's expression.
Brother, do you remember what you promised me?
I quickly managed my expression and responded with a smile. But she leaned in close, her lips almost touching my ear. Even though her breath made my ear itch, I clearly heard the warning in her words.
Be good, brother, or don't blame me for taking my coming-of-age gift.
It took a while after she left for my heartbeat to return to normal. Without pondering the deeper meaning of her words, I sent my location to the family driver. It's not that I didn't want to call the police, but our families had been close for many years. There were plenty of ways to get back at her for this confinement. I decided to let her off the hook for now and then report her actions later.
Urgent. Help! Come pick me up here.
Got it.
From those two short words, I drew immense comfort and immediately felt relieved. Tying the bedsheets together, I opened the window I had prepared earlier and slid down the makeshift rope. After landing safely, I dove into the roadside bushes to avoid any chance of Emma returning. Before long, John pulled up in front of the villa. Confirming the license plate, I quickly got into the car.
Quick! Drive home.
John stared at me, bewildered by the grass sticking out of my hair, but his professionalism kicked in, and he started the car immediately. On the way, I remembered my parents' urgent message and couldn't help but ask John.
John, what's the emergency at home? Is it serious?
In the rearview mirror, I saw him glance at me with a smile.
Don't worry, young master. You'll find out when you get home.
His words reassured me, and I relaxed, confident that it wasn't bad news. Humming along to the DJ music John played in the car, I got out when we arrived home. But as soon as I walked in, I saw both families gathered, and Emma was among them. My mom glared at me for my stunned appearance.
What are you standing there for? Come and greet your uncle and aunt.
I exchanged a glance with Emma, my heart pounding as I quickly looked away and approached her parents.
Hello, Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary. I just got home, so I apologize for any lack of manners.
But Aunt Mary grabbed me and hung a large jade Buddha around my neck. Seeing the high quality of the jade, my eyes widened, and a sense of foreboding rose within me. The next second, Aunt Mary spoke with a beaming smile.
From now on, we're all family, so no need for formalities.
Being as sharp as I am, I immediately thought of a possibility. I looked around, trying to read the expressions on everyone's faces to disprove my suspicion. But my dad and Uncle Robert were both smiling, Emma was sitting next to my mom as if they had just finished a conversation, and Aunt Mary was still holding my hand.
I'm doomed.
I sat next to Aunt Mary, forcing a smile while my mind was elsewhere. Remembering Emma's warning before she left and her occasional smirking glances at me now, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. No wonder she let me escape so easily, she had set a trap for me. No, it wasn't just that, she had planned this all along. My hair stood on end as I once again realized how terrifying Emma could be. Using the excuse of changing clothes, I went upstairs. Before I could catch my breath, I heard Emma's voice again.
Brother, you're still not behaving.
I swallowed hard, trembling as I looked at her standing at my door. She seemed to have shed all her pretense, looking nothing like the obedient girl who listened to the elders downstairs. Her expression was gloomy, her eyes dark as ink, but her lips curled into a sickly smile.
But it's okay. This time, you won't escape. Brother, have you thought about how to make up for my coming-of-age gift?
Seeing her approach step by step, I had no choice but to retreat to the head of the bed.
Emma, calm down. The gifts are ready.
Seeing me cower like a frightened spouse, her expression grew even darker.
Really? Are you talking about the watch for Robert, the bag for Mary, or Max's collar?
I was stunned. I hadn't expected her to go through my luggage. Realizing that no explanation would suffice, I decided to give up and lay back on the bed, stretching out my body.
Go ahead, take whatever you want.
She didn't hesitate, leaning over me from the side of the bed. Her fingers traced my cheek, neck, and chest. My face flushed red, and I grabbed her mischievous hand. She chuckled softly, her eyes full of mischief.
Didn't you say I could take whatever I wanted?
Before I could respond, Emma placed her other hand lightly over my left chest.
I want this. Will you give it to me?
Her expression was unusually serious, sending shivers down my spine. Emma didn't look like she was asking for love, it seemed more like she was considering where to start cutting. The once gloomy girl had transformed into a master of disguise, though she had always been a bit unhinged. I had seen through Emma's true nature from a young age. After she dissected a rabbit in the garden without batting an eye, I often kept an eye on this neighbor girl. That's why, when she pushed Michael's mistress down the stairs, I was the first to rush into the house and call an ambulance. The mistress lay unconscious on the floor, with a pool of blood nearby. Emma watched coldly from the stairs, looking down at me.
Emma, don't you know that what you did could be fatal?
She descended the stairs slowly, not at all like a child who had done something wrong. Glancing at the blood, she spoke with a hint of meaning.
It's already fatal.
At first, I didn't understand, but then I noticed the woman's belly, which didn't match her slender figure. It dawned on me why she was there, she had come to make demands. A mistress showing up pregnant wasn't unusual in families like ours, but a child daring to take such drastic action was a first for me. Emma was indeed a little lunatic. When the ambulance arrived, Jane came downstairs, alarmed by the commotion.
What's going on? Emma, Ryan, what happened?
Jane's hair was disheveled, her eyes red and swollen, as she hurried down the stairs. Emma, still unskilled at hiding her emotions, simply stated the facts with a blank face.
Mother, she fell from the stairs.
Jane's probing gaze turned to me, perhaps wondering why I was there, or maybe something else.
Yes, we both saw it.
Hearing this, the poor woman seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Emma also gave me a long, puzzled look. Why didn't I tell on her? Who would want to provoke a little lunatic, especially one who wouldn't face legal consequences and had a penchant for dissecting rabbits? Later, I heard that although Michael's mistress lost the baby, she survived and received a substantial compensation. I felt a bit relieved. But I hadn't expected Emma to fixate on me from then on. Whether at school or at home, I was constantly on edge. Emma's gaze followed me everywhere, and it was a look I was all too familiar with. It was the same look she had before dissecting that poor rabbit.
Emma, will you ever stop?
She was shoved hard against the wall but continued to look at me with those bright, dark eyes. Seeing her remain silent, I worried she might be hurt and asked hesitantly.
Are you okay?
Emma shook her head lightly. I frowned and couldn't help but roll up her sleeve. There was a large bruise. I gasped and looked up at her. Emma's reaction was unlike any other girl's. She observed my expression as if she had discovered something fascinating.
Are you worried about me?
Of course not. I'm just afraid you'll tell my parents.
With that, I took her hand and led her to the nurse's office. She stumbled along, no longer staring at me intensely but with her gaze wandering.
If you don't tattle, I won't either.
It seemed like innocent child talk, but it made my heart sink. If I had revealed the truth back then, the consequences would have been dire. After that incident, Emma found joy in provoking me and making me worry about her. I became certain she was genuinely unhinged, her mind working in ways I couldn't comprehend. Yet, for some reason, the bond between our families grew stronger, and I had no choice but to tolerate this little lunatic. At my birthday party, Emma sat beside me. Seeing her in a white princess dress, I felt a bit embarrassed for the first time, ignoring her usual expressionless face. I made a friendly suggestion in front of the adults.
Emma, how about we make a wish together?
Emma was taken aback but nodded obediently amidst the adults' encouragement. My dad turned off the lights and my mom carefully lit the candles. Michael and Jane sang the birthday song for me, and even our little dog Max placed his paws on the table, looking at us with bright eyes. After making my wish, I looked at Emma. Seeing a smile on her lips, I blew out all the candles with her in one breath. Everyone cheered, and my mom began removing the candles to cut the cake. Suddenly, Emma leaned close to my ear and whispered,
Do you know what I wished for?
Immersed in happiness, I looked at her expectantly, completely ignoring her increasingly sinister smile.
I wished for everyone around you, except for me, to disappear.
Before I could react, I was already gasping for breath, pressing Emma's head into the cake. The adults looked shocked, and my dad pulled me away.
Ryan, are you out of your mind?
With my ears ringing, I couldn't hear my parents scolding. I could only see Emma lifting her head, laughing with her face covered in cream. Michael and Jane looked at Emma with a strange expression, then glanced deeply at me. Looking back, I think I should have restrained myself back then. Maybe Michael and Jane wouldn't have thought I could make Emma normal. But it's too late to say anything now. After my parents and Michael and Jane discussed it, they arranged a grand engagement ceremony for us the next day. As I waited idly for the ceremony to begin, an unexpected person approached me. Ethan, the young master of the Hua family and the male lead in the redemption story, appeared. He blocked my way with a righteous air, like some kind of justice warrior.
Ryan, I know you don't like Emma. You should call off the wedding.
Call off the wedding? Easier said than done. Did he think I didn't want to? If only he would hand me a $5 million check and a plane ticket to the US tonight. I scoffed, unwilling to waste words on someone who just talked big. But Ethan grabbed my arm, stubbornly looking at me.
We are the perfect match. I will take care of Emma for a lifetime. You can't make her happy, so give up.
Hearing this, my expression darkened. I glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then dropped the pretense. I brushed his hand off my arm, my demeanor turning haughty as I looked him up and down.
You two are the perfect match. Did you get my permission?
Ethan's mouth fell open, staring at me in shock. I walked past him, heading towards the ceremony site.
Besides, who said I don't like her?
I didn't just like Emma, I was deeply in love with her. After trying countless ways, I finally caught her attention by disguising myself as her ideal. A twisted person pretending to be a treasure and someone who wants to possess that treasure entirely. Aren't we a match made in heaven? Could anyone be more suited for each other than us? She used to act like a gentle rabbit in front of me, but now her possessiveness was unmistakable. She stood up, looking down at me, and after a moment, a slight smile appeared on her lips.
Will you stay with me forever, brother?
I was startled, my whole body tensing up. Just as I was about to jump up and refuse her proposal, my sudden movement caused a clinking sound at my feet. Lifting the blanket, I was shocked to find my ankle chained to the foot of the bed. I stared at her in disbelief, but she just kept smiling.
What kind of captivity play is this? No, if she were to go mad, she should be imprisoning the male lead, not me, the villain. Thinking of the things I had done to her in the past, I felt a chill run down my spine. Was she planning to keep me locked up and torment me slowly?
Sensing my gaze, he awkwardly ran a hand through his hair.
Ryan, I must have been out of my mind. I had this strange dream and actually thought I was the main character.
I took a small step forward, ensuring the surveillance camera wouldn't catch my face, and then put on a mocking smile.
Idiot.
What did you say, Ryan?
Your dream was real. You are the main character of this world, but sorry, Emma is mine now.
Seeing his incredulous expression, I intensified my tone.
Did you really think I was helping you? No, it was me who whispered in Emma's ear to take down your family. I brought you here just to humiliate you further.
Fearing that my words hadn't stung enough, I gestured for him to look at the reflection in the elevator. The difference between us was stark. I was still impeccably dressed, while he looked utterly disheveled. Ethan's eyes gradually filled with rage, and the tension that had been building for days finally erupted. The next second, his hand was around my throat.
You scum! I'll end you.
As I looked at his twisted face and felt the choking sensation on my neck, I didn't struggle. But Ethan, lost in his emotions, didn't sense anything amiss and tightened his grip. My vision blurred, and the lunchbox in my hand slipped as my consciousness began to fade. Ding! The elevator door was opened from the outside. In the next moment, Ethan was shoved away by the newcomer. Emma immediately supported my unsteady body, her venomous gaze fixed on Ethan, who was now on the floor. After carefully checking my injuries, her eyes burned with fury.
Help him into the office and call for a doctor.
I took a sip of the warm water the assistant handed me. Soon, the elevator echoed with cries of pain. Ethan, realizing his mistake too late, would surely regret not escaping when Emma was focused on me. Imagining the cruel methods Emma might use on Ethan, I struggled to suppress a smile. When Emma emerged, I quickly adopted a pitiful demeanor. Coughing deliberately, I spoke with effort.
Emma, I was careless this time.
Her knuckles still bore traces of blood, and her eyes were stormy. She waved the assistant away, and the pressure in the room intensified, making my heart race. My mind spun rapidly. Had I made a mistake? Did Ethan say something he shouldn't have? Or was Emma angry because she felt she was losing control over me?
Emma?
This soft call seemed to awaken the last shred of humanity in her. She stopped in her tracks and lowered her head. It felt like a scene from a horror movie, and my sense of danger peaked. It seemed I had pushed things too far. She used to act like a gentle rabbit in front of me, but now her possessiveness was unmistakable. She stood up, looking down at me, and after a moment, a slight smile appeared on her lips.
Will you stay with me forever, brother?
I was startled, my whole body tensing up. Just as I was about to jump up and refuse her proposal, my sudden movement caused a clinking sound at my feet. Lifting the blanket, I was shocked to find my ankle chained to the foot of the bed. I stared at her in disbelief, but she just kept smiling.
What kind of captivity is this? No, if she were to go crazy, she should be imprisoning the male lead, not me, the villain.
Thinking of the things I had done to her in the past, I felt a chill run down my spine. Was she planning to keep me locked up and torment me slowly?